no numbers, there's no pictures, there's no videos, there's no gameplay. I don't like it.
Yo, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope everyone's having a good day so far. Today, Freemers, we are back with another Palia lore reading. This is long overdue. I haven't had the time to look at this lore. This is all from the Temple of Roots. And I wanted to go over this eventually, and because there's so much information to cover, I haven't had the time, but this is the time now that we're actually gonna have to do this. So there is a lot to unpack. We're gonna kind of go over this we're gonna go over it in a way that makes it easier for everyone. We're just gonna go over basically a series of the lore entries and kind of go in a certain order, basically the order of which I captured the screenshots. So first things first, I don't remember what overseer station this is, but we're gonna start with the first screenshots that I took, which I believe this has to be the Hydroflow human overseer station. Has to be. But let's just dive into this, man. I want to get into the nitty-gritty of all the lore. The lore of Palia is probably the only thing, like, the lore interests me a lot. I like knowing more about it, because Freedom's lore I didn't really get too much into until later on, obviously, but the Palia lore is pretty deep. It goes pretty deep. So let's go with this. Let's go ahead and read this first entry. To Galen, request denied. I'm so sorry to hear about the struggles you are experiencing. Fortunately, we cannot provide you with additional pyroflow at this time. The Aeroflow Research Facility has had similar requests denied. We need to redirect the remaining supply of pyroflow to right places. It will be dedicated to the war effort where it is most needed. Apologies, the Minister of Flow. There's a lot we can interpret from this one little blurb, and this ties into the deeper story in Palia, which is, for one thing, let's just read the first line. I'm so sorry to hear about the struggles you are experiencing. Unfortunately, we cannot provide you with additional pyroflow at this time. So we, for the most part, we only knew about flow. We didn't know there were certain type of flow. We knew about the basic flow compound, like we thought flow was it. But there are elements of flow. There's pyroflow, there's hydroflow, there's aeroflow, and there's terraflow, all kind of corresponding to the certain elements. Hydroflow going to water, pyroflow going to fire, aeroflow obviously air, and terraflow is earth. So a lot of little nods to the four elements, which is neat. But they don't mention that in the other three temples, which is interesting. You don't hear that mentioned because the first temple, I mean, doesn't really focus on a whole lot. It's a water temple. It's cool. It's super small and condensed. The only lore that's focused on in there is the fact that there were people trapped in there and they couldn't get out. Then you look at like the fire temple. That focuses on the Kitsu and the fact that it was friends with a Galder. And that's the whole point of that temple. And then obviously my favorite temple, which is the Wind Temple, whatever it's called. Can't remember the names. Sorry. Kind of doing this off the cuff. That temple is focused on the Silverwing, which is a super rare bird, and the lore about that. If you guys haven't seen that lore, I have a video on it covering it. Basically talks about how a bunch of researchers were trapped and they were trying to get out. They used the Silverwing to try and escape, but both them and the Silverwing died trying to leave because they were cut off from the outside world. Now, we're going to get into that, but let's keep reading ahead. The Aeroflow Research Facilities had similar requests denied. We need to redirect the remaining supply of pyroflow to the right places. It will be dedicated to the war effort where it is most needed. The war effort. So there hasn't been lore on this, but apparently there is a war going on in this time, but like a flow war or something like that, which is funny because of what I'm writing. But yeah, there is a war effort. going on. There's like a war, and the flow is being used for that war. Now, who's the war against? Because obviously this is humans. This isn't Majiri. This isn't any other race. As far as we know, the story is about humans. We don't know any other details. It could be because there's so many... Because if you think about it, the Flame Temple focuses on the Kitsu, but there's a Galder involved. The Temple of Roots focuses on the Galder specifically, and how, you know, you've got the Gardener, which is this super powerful being, the ultimate Galder. It makes me think that there was a war against the Galders. I don't know if that's the case, but if Palia's lore ever gets expanded upon, we'll find that out. But then, of course, we have an unknown character, which I've written down. The Minister of Flow. Don't know who that is, but we're going to keep moving on here. Let's move on to the next entry. Betrayal. Did the king really do this? I've been in his corner for so long, and now Asta has shut off our access to Pyroflow at his command. So, I'm pretty sure this is probably the case. Asta is the Minister of Flow, because obviously they don't say who it is. But yes, did the king really do this? I've been in his corner for so long, and now Asta has shut off our access to Pyroflow at his command. We still got our supply of Hydroflow, but now student learning is incredibly limited. I can't provide them with the education we promised, and yet, of course, the Sphere Ball team is being funded. I wonder if I should contact my lawyer preemptively or wait for the complaints to roll in. So it seems like Flow, specifically Hydroflow, or maybe all the other flows, are used for education, and it's not really explained how. There's also mention of a Sphere Ball team, but I don't think that's relevant to any of this. See, the bottom paragraph isn't relevant at all. This is probably just Galen going off on a tangent, you know? The one thing we need to note here is the top part. Did the king really do this? So obviously there was a king in Palia. I don't know if there still is a king. There was a king who ruled over the lands, I'm assuming. We don't know who that king is. It's not mentioned. I know there's I think there's dialogue from the king, but it's not clear who it is. Now, one thing that has been revealed here, we need to preface this. There has been a character, if you guys have been paying attention to the lore videos I've been doing, there's a character that's trying to cover up the whole flow situation. There's a person covering up the flow problem because there's an issue going on with flow, and someone's cutting things off, making sure nothing's working. They're so not only are they cutting off flow, they blocked the research team that was researching the Silver Wings and Aeroflow. They blocked them off and prevented them from leaving that area. We now know the name of this person is Asta, or the Minister of Flow. It's interesting. So this is essentially the villain of this story is Asta, because Asta's the reason that those people died in the Silverwing Temple, is also the reason, people couldn't use Flow. There's so much more to this, and Asta's probably the reason that any of this is happening. I'm wondering if we're going to get more story on Asta, but we'll see. Anyway, let's keep going. Anyone but him. Hephaestus is coming today to install our portion of the Cosmos Protocol. I'm dreading our reunion. It's difficult enough to work with him when we aren't face to face, but now I have to confront it head on. Gotta remember to avoid the use of my old nickname for him, especially if Anima comes with him. So these characters, we'll get into them. The characters that are being mentioned here, a lot of them are working on these overseer stations. So just keep that in mind as we're going through this. But yeah, there's going to be a lot of lore with these characters. Now, the next piece of information we're going to be going into is the mysterious device. So at each of the overseer stations, there is a mysterious device. We're going to go over all the messages because there's a lot of different ones from a lot of different characters. From Anima, which Anima, by the way, is she works on the overseer station for the Aeroflow, aka the Keeper of the Gales. So Anima could have been a researcher too. Mysterious device, body text. Yes, Galen, they cut off my Pyroflow too. It is incredibly frustrating and has stunted our research significantly. Perhaps we can pool our remaining resources. Let's meet up for lunch soon and discuss it. So Galen and Anima are friends. That's kind of clear. Like, they're friends, but Galen and Hephaestus are not. And then there's another character named Titus, which is the Keeper of the Roots, aka the Terraflow Overseer Station person. So it's cool that they had people managing these, though, I will say. I think that's pretty neat. Let's get into the next part here. From Asta, aka our villain of the story. I have seen your message. Please enjoy your time off, and we can commune when you return. I am sorry for my awkwardness. I am struggling with our situation as much as you are, which is a lie, because Asta is the Keeper of the Flow, basically. Unless the Minister of Flow is someone completely different, but I've connected the dots. I think they're the same person. So there's that message. This is kind of like vague. Like, please enjoy your time. We can commune when you return. Like, clearly Asta communicates with all the Overseer stations, but I don't know. And then from Titus, which I don't know. I can't remember if Titus is friend or not of Galen, but we'll see. Heard about your little fight with the king. You sure you want to pick at those scars? From what I hear, he's already pretty whacked out about what happened with his wife. Guy can't catch a break. At this point, we should all take one. I sure am. If you need anything, please contact the gardener directly. So Titus it doesn't seem like friends with Galen. Seems like the kind of in-between, like, cautious kind of guy. But apparently Galen got into a fight with the king. Now, I don't know if it was a physical fight or a verbal fight, but there was a fight. And you can kind of gather what this context is about, because he asks, you sure you want to pick at those scars? Because it seems like the king is already wounded. Because he says, from what I hear, he's already pretty whacked out about what happened with his wife. So we can assume that his wife died during the war or something. Had to have. So it doesn't seem like the war for the humans is going well. But yeah, so Titus knows a little bit more about the situation at hand than all the other people, but I digress. Let's keep going. And from admin 1, so there's 2 admins that I have written down, but we don't know who they are. They're unnamed, just like the king, the guard. Well, the gardener, that's the gardener's name, the gardener. The Keeper of Roots, anyway. But then, of course, you've got the king, which isn't named. There's Mother, which is not named, and admin 1 and admin 2. A lot of unnamed characters, and that makes me wonder how much more story we're going to get, you know? From admin 1. I really am sorry, Galen, but infighting is not the best use of our time. Please trust me, and trust what I am doing is for the survival of our species. We have had things easy for so long, people have forgotten how bad things can get. I promise you the Cosmos Protocol is important. I am converting the university to protect it and protect the civilians inside in case the worst happens. I want to throw out a guess there. For admin 1. I think admin 1 is Asta. This is a guess. I don't think so, because Asta's already mentioned. So why is admin 1 unnamed? We're just going to leave that blank, actually, because we don't know. We can't just assume. But I have a feeling it's Asta because of how things are worded. Because it says, please trust me and trust what I am doing is for the survival of our species. I promise you the Cosmos Protocol is important. So it's hard to discern, like, who is admin 1, but yeah, and that's the end of this first part. I'm pretty sure this is the Hydroflow station. So but if it's not, it's fine. I'll probably title this video whatever it is, but that's the first part of the mysterious device. But anywho, that's gonna be the video for today. But thank you guys for watching. If you did, as always, I appreciate it a ton. I will see you guys in the next video, and yeah, goodbye.